Hello students, and welcome to a video on chapter 3. This is part 2, and in this video we are going to be covering a very special topic, which is how to use objects that the Java language gives to us. Object-oriented programming is something that we will do in a lot of detail at the end of the course, which is chapter 8, and it will form the core of your CSC 20 course. For this chapter, however, all we're going to do is not learn how to create classes and objects, but use existing objects that Java gives to us for some very important functionality that we want to bring into our program. There's two objects that we will explore in chapter 3. This video covers the scanner object, and the accompanying video, the one that follows after this, is the one that will deal with string objects. So far we have drawn all kinds of fancy pictures. We know how to use the print statement. We know how to do procedural decomposition. We know how to use the for loop, and we're able to do a lot of fancy things. But so far we have not made our programs interactive. What does that mean? What that means is, can we move towards having the user, i.e. us, interact and give values into our program, right? And so the question is, so what is the equivalent of the system out println statement? Is there a system in print read statement? Well, unfortunately, there's nothing like that in Java, but Java provides us with a scanner object, which we can use to parse or get the input. Now, scanner object is a part of the Java util package, and there's tons and tons of classes in that util package, and we will be exploring more of these as time passes. But for now, that's in order to be able to use the scanner so that we can read stuff into our program and make our program interactive. What we need to do is we need to import Java util scanner, right? And all right, so this program is called scanner demo. Before I move on to diving into creating a scanner and using it to read, I'd just like to say here that a scanner object is a very general purpose feature of the Java programming language, which can be used to input into your program from either the console or from a data file or from a string. How can we do that? How can we import from a file is the topic of chapter 6. How can we import from a string is something we will be doing along the way. Today we are going to look at how a scanner can be used to read from the console. So what are the things we have to do? The first thing we have to do is right here. We have to declare a variable of type scanner. So I'm just going to off type scanner, right? And so I say scanner KB for keyboard equals new scanner, and what we are saying is, can you please connect the scanner to the system in. Now system in is the input equivalent of system.out. So system.in is where we're connecting the scanner to so that we can read from the console. And here these are the methods that a scanner, so each object, as you will see, contains a name of the object. It needs to be created, and typically it needs to be constructed or initialized. So in this case, we are creating a scanner. So we know it's a scanner because it's got a type scanner instead of int, boolean, all of that stuff, or a string. This is the name of the scanner. We are constructing a scanner. We know we are constructing it because of the new keyword. And what we are saying is we're going to connect it to system.in. So this is the meaning of this declaration statement and construction statement here. Now, once we have KB, what we're going to do, as you can see, is doing something completely different. This scanner object KB has certain behaviors, right? It can read an integer. It can input an integer. It can input a string. It's like a cookie monster. It can input a line, and it put a double, right? And it can also do stuff like it can check is the next has next int, right? Has next double. Is the next one a double? So it has all of these. We are not going to look at this for now. We are going to wait till we finish chapter 4 in order to use the has next. But for sure we can use get the next integer, get the next double, get the next string, and get the next line. And these are very, very powerful. And what it allows us to do is enter information of different types, and the scanner will be able to read the type accurately and put them into variables. So here we are. We say, now we prompt the user to say, what is your name? And then do KB dot next line. This is invoke the next line behavior of KB, which makes it grab the next line from the console and input that. And so prompt, read, print, prompt age. As you can see, I've created variables of different types. The first one is a string, second one is an int, third one is a double, and somewhere hidden here is actually another integer. So I'm going to have the scanner read 3 different kinds of variable types: int, double, and scanner. And what do we have here? Here it says, what is your age? Age is an integer. So I use the next int method. The behavior of the KB method is go get the next integer from the console and store it in the variable called age. Get the next line from the console and store it in a string called name. I could have absolutely done just next here, but I'll show you in a minute why next line is better in this case. And then of course GPA, which is a double, right? I'm going to just run this right here and we'll see the output of this program. This output says, what is your name? And I'm going to say my name is John Doe. And what is your age? I'm going to say my age is 21. And what is your GPA? 55.4. And enter your student ID. I'm going to say 1234. And my program has worked perfectly, right? Program has worked perfectly. It has taken the input. I have entered the correct types, right? Whenever the scanner said, enter your name, I have entered John Doe, and I have done everything perfectly. Let's see what happens when we don't do things perfectly. What is your name? I do 123. Well, it didn't seem to mind. It just took that number and treated it as a string. What is your age? And I said 44.21, right? Now this did not go down that well because I was expecting an integer and what I got was a double, and that caused the scanner to not to be happy, and it just crashed. So we have an exception here. So let's try to run this program again and say, well, my name is John, and let's give a nice number to age is 21. GPA, we are expecting to read in a double, but I'm going to do 44. GPA is, let's say, I don't know, 4.34, a very nice GPA, right? And enter the student ID 3456, right? So that worked. So regardless of whether I get John Doe or John, this program worked fine. I'm going to run it one more time to do one more thing. I'm going to say my name is John Doe and my age is 21, and I'm going to give the GPA instead of a double, I'm just going to give 2. And as you can see, it has converted my integer to a double. So this is the relationship between integers and doubles. Wherever you expect a double, you can certainly feed in an integer, and whenever you expect an integer, if you feed it in a double, then it's not going to like it unless we do some tweaking, right? And student ID is, I enter 4567. Now, one thing I wanted to do was change this. Instead of next line, do the next. Change it to next, which just reads one piece of string. I say, what is your name? I say, my name is John Doe, and here it has given me an exception. So why has it given an exception? For sure, I had actually, given, it could have just taken John, right, and not worried about the Doe. Well, what's actually happening here is, remember that the console, whatever we type into the console, actually goes and gets saved inside a buffer, right? So right now, when we said, what is your name? And we fed it John Doe, and what happened here was kb.next tokenized this. It's also, I'd encourage you to read your book about tokenizing. So what's happening here is that it reads the console, the scanner reads from the console one token at a time. So what next does, it reads the next token, but read it as a string. So, but what is the token? The token here is John. And how does the computer know where a token starts and where a token ends? Well, it knows that because of the spacing that you put here, right? So if, for example, if you have a blank or a bunch of blanks or a new line or a tab, then it's going to be treated as a token separator. So what was going on here? Why did it crash? Well, it crashed because I put next here, so it actually took John, and then there was a space and a doe still left inside the input buffer. And then I came along, and then it says, what is your age? This is an output display, and it went and tried to read doe as an integer, and then it collapsed. So that's why my program did not function, right? So it's important to remember that you could totally run this program this way, right? I could have entered John 21 and 4 and 12, and this program should work. You see that? It kept all of this in the input buffer. When you said, what's your name? It went and read the first token and put that into the name, read 21, put that into the age, read 4, put that into the double GPA, and put this into the student ID. So please keep in mind that when you put stuff, enter stuff into the onto your keyboard, it goes into a buffer and it just stays that way. And then the scanner object takes that information and tokenize it, i.e. it's something like it starts reading maybe the first value that you've typed in and reads it all the way till you've actually given a space. Now I could have actually given here, I could have done something like John, and then I could have given a new line. I could have given a tab, let's say, right? And then I could have said 12, 3, and 33, or let's say new line, right? This is probably going to crash. I don't know. Let's see what happens here. You see, it did not like the backslash n. So it took the John, it took the 12, and it took the 3, and then it did not like the backslash n. So we can write programs where we can actually input a return, and even that will be treated as a white space for the purposes of tokenization. Just the last thing before I let you go on this video is how to pass a scanner as a parameter, because now we've been doing passing stuff as parameters to methods. So as you can see here, if we can pass an int or a double or a whatever, we can also pass objects as parameters. So what we can do here is we can create a method called test, which says enter. This is what was happening all the time with student ID, is the scanner that got created here, right here. The variable, scanner variable, got passed here into the method called test. And what this test does, it uses the scanner variable to read an integer. Remember that even if we pass this information, even if we pass a scanner as a parameter, then it's still going to keep track of its current location. So it's not like, you're resetting the scanner and it's going all the way back. For example, if you do test KB here and KB was right here, then this is the stuff that KB is going to read, right? It's not going to kind of reset to the beginning or anything like that.